Good evening, Happy New Year.
Good evening and Happy New Year wishes Maduro from, well, the facilities are already here. A federal prison where he is right now, over there in New York, detained for the same thing. Several images already shared by the Drug Enforcement Administration. This is the moment when he arrived in New York, surrounded by a lot of security. Many of them, well, just for the photo, now for the memory, but obviously it's part of what's happening. At this moment, he is already in prison. He has been saying Happy New Year to everyone. Did he learn the phrase? Well, his English is starting to get better. He's only been at it for a day and he's already improved by 5 in English. Obviously, this will change over time. He'll probably speak fluent English at some point. But anyway, the images are still surprising. Those other images with both thumbs up are also interesting, with those little monkey-like gestures there. In this image, they blur out the faces of the Drug Enforcement Administration agents, but in the other images, they don't. That also draws attention, and well, according to reports, this would be the one we're looking at right now. It was the first, let's say, official image from the United States authorities, where they showed Maduro already under arrest. Even smiling with his hands up or with his big hands up, that also draws attention today. And here is another image, which is when he was getting off the plane. This one is shared quite often afterward. It's another image as well. With their faces covered, someone finally asked, why cover their faces? They began exposing them in the next videos. But anyway, Maduro still looked more serious there too. Well, another one of the images must be good. In theory, it was cold in New York, although, well, it doesn't seem that bad since Maduro is walking there. In these images, he is shown chatting, talking, assuming that one of the people next to the Drug Enforcement Administration must speak Spanish. And well, he must be talking with them. This is another image that has also surprised people today. We've already seen this one, right? We've already seen this one and this other one. Well, this one. We'll talk about what's happening in a moment, but anyway, very good. Here comes Astrid. How have you been? What's new?
What's new going on? On the way, they say that Nicolas Maduro with Duolingo, everything that's happening.
With Duolingo in a rush, right? Yeah.
With this Elsa, also with Elsa.
With those language apps, well, now they're really going to learn a little more. Now, at this moment, attention is being drawn to what's happening inside Venezuela. There are internal movements. We'll talk about what's going on in a moment. But first, before we get to that point, there is already a report, according to the New York Times, of how many people may have lost their lives in this attack that took place yesterday. From the United States. Well, basically all these bombings happened throughout the night. According to reports, in this attack on the military bases, 40 people lost their lives, according to the report. The Secretary of Defense Pichesi stated that currently President Donald Trump is setting the terms to govern Venezuela. They are going to try to control what happens after this situation in order to make a change. Now, indeed, towards Maduro's regime and moving on to something different, something new. According to the Secretary of Defense, because of this decision, President Trump says, right? He has shown that he keeps his word. Now, well,
it was necessary for now, right? Especially since there have been threats and nothing is being done.
Or was it just going to be a mess as it was? A good part of the comments were about whether it had gotten messed up, right? That if it was already, well, regretting this, wondering if anything would change, etc. And now suddenly the movement happens, right? Yes, I was surprised. It catches my attention that where there have been protests, for example, here in Monterrey, there were protests in favor of Maduro. For Maduro to be freed. Yeah, can you imagine? Well, just a few people. But immediately Venezuelans started to show up and ask them, what are you saying? He's an unmentionable character, really someone you can't even present. How is it possible that you're protesting to defend this person? And like that, in different parts of the world, where there were people protesting in favor of Maduro, Venezuelans would immediately show up and say, what's going on? How is this possible? I'm here and my family has suffered through this. How can you be defending this situation? And well, it's also part of this tug of war, this boiling point on social media. You can imagine, right? I mean, well, that's how it's been all day, this whole mess. Let's just check if we already have it. If you can see, if you can hear the comments, well, everything's good. I hope so. Great. Thank you very much. Greetings to Eliseo. Very good. Luis Dam, how are you? How have you been? Greetings to everyone in the community who's joining in. We'll be paying attention to your comments. It says, how are you, Miguel? Good evening to Ramon Risotto and everyone in the community. Look, there are Democrats and there are Republicans who have been dissatisfied, especially because of the congressmen who don't feel taken into account. Some people say that the United States Congress is becoming irrelevant in the Trump era, and being a congressman is becoming irrelevant. Well, at the end of the day, it's almost like having your power taken away from you. It's a power that balances a country. For a country to be democratic, it needs balanced powers. And this is being lost in the United States, and is being lost in many other regions of the world. The Democrats would be upset because they claim this was reckless. It was a move they didn't like. Basically, a series of messages. Macron and even the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom said that on one hand they celebrated Maduro's fall, but on the other hand they criticized the way it was done. Well, now, yes, basically breaking international rules, so to speak, exactly.
A topic that, as we mentioned, Maloney has also spoken about. Well, yes, he was a person who needed to leave, just like you were telling me. Well, this Merz, the Chancellor of Germany, who says, well, Nicolas Maduro led it to the brink, to ruin. Was Venezuela also saying it as a way to justify this attack by the United States? Like, well, also, right? It's gotten to the point where I think there's not a single Venezuelan living abroad who agrees that he should stay in the government. No, many Venezuelans who are here in Mexico, who are in other countries, would say, well, I don't like the invasion, but I'd rather they just get that guy out already. And what if we're already invaded, they say? By China, by Iran, by Russia, and, well, by the worst evils? They prefer the United States makes this move.
This move? Clearly, they're facing many challenges, including uncertainty about who is governing right now. Let's go with that. Who is governing over there in Venezuela while Donald Trump says they are going to try to take control of Venezuela while the regime change takes place? Well, while things are up in the air, life tries to go on in that country, in the sense that, well, you know, there's a vice president. That vice president, at least with those who have been operating in Venezuela up until now, well, they make the move at this moment. Just hours ago, Delcy Rodriguez was still saying, no, the president is still Maduro and that he is the only president and so on. And suddenly, well, there's a move in which it's already confirmed. The Supreme Court of Venezuela appoints the vice president as interim president after bombing or after the attack, let's say, on Maduro's regime, right? Reports say the Supreme Court of Justice of Venezuela unexpectedly ordered Delcy Rodriguez to take over as interim president after the international arrest of Nicolas Maduro by the United States in an unprecedented event. And a very smooth operation in which on the United States side there was not a single loss, not a helicopter, not a person, not anyone. In the case of Venezuela, there were 40 people killed inside these military facilities, at least according to reports so far. Maduro would have been detained by United States forces early in the morning. Just see how many hours it took. He's already detained in a federal prison in the United States, and he's even speaking English now. I mean, this is really amazing how things change. Just another day, it was going to be just another dance, just another big party with the wigs and who knows what else and all the dancing, right? But well, suddenly that's how things change. Obviously, it's a profile. It seemed like she was going to be staying for an indefinite period of time, not just now, but from now on. Interim president according to the current regime within Venezuela. She is a lawyer, former foreign affairs minister, and sister of Jorge Rodriguez, president of the National Assembly. She has risen to key positions within Chavismo, and in 2024 she was confirmed as Minister of Hydrocarbons to face the sanctions. And now, well, Vice President, she becomes interim president, in which, well, the United States says that it does have dialogue with Desi Rodriguez, who is now, from the regime's point of view, the president. Although obviously, well, we all know how the issue of the elections went. The issue is no. She still insists that he took office. Maduro is still the only legitimate president, according to her view, Delcy Rodriguez, but she remains as the interim president figure at this moment. This is official and also part of that internal movement, which from the regime's perspective seeks to prevent an internal power vacuum. Because at that moment, ambitions and chaos also start to come in, and all of this.
Exactly. But this lack of awareness from Maria Corina Machado, who is Donald Trump today, really draws a lot of attention. And right now there's also a representative named Diaz Ballard who has been commenting a lot about Venezuela. And the reporters ask them, why aren't you willing to support Maria Corina? She says, are you talking to us? We've never supported her. We've never supported her. Don't put words in our mouths. We don't tolerate you putting those words in our colleagues' mouths either. But well, it's just that they won the election. Edmundo Gonzalez and Maria Corina Machado, well, they won the elections.
And there's an internal conflict in the United States because there's a group that does want Maria Corina and Edmundo Gonzalez to come in. Yes, within the United States government, Donald Trump, there's another group that doesn't want that. Now, I think you sent me that report from an analyst who was saying, well, that's it. The strategy is as follows. Let's see what you all think and try to find out who said it so we can give them credit since I found it interesting. The point is because, well, yes, it's a possibility. And the move that Trump is making in that sense is, well, yes. In fact, pretending not to recognize this Maria Corina? No, so that Delcy Rodriguez can call elections in 30 days and the voting can take place. Well, now this time in favor of Maria Corina. And so it doesn't look like Maria Corina was imposed by Trump or Edmundo Gonzalez was imposed by Trump. Not that people might think that, but rather that there should be a real election. An election where, well, an opposition comes from the grassroots and with all the support from the people themselves. Right? Well, assuming that's the case, maybe they're giving too much credit to Trump on one hand. But then what next? You might be surprised, and maybe because, look, the fact that Donald Trump is saying yes, we agreed on several things with Delcy Rodriguez Este. I mean, like, she knew the whole deal. Basically, they're making her look like a traitor. Yeah, right.
And that's why I immediately went out myself to wash my hands.
Exactly. But there, subtly, he made a chess move, putting her in a tough spot to create a situation. I mean, just by the words alone, they can cause you a problem there. Because obviously, they're going to say, well, I mean, those in Maduro's inner circle are going to say that you betrayed him, right?
And that they also have a price on their heads, because we have to remember that Diosdado and Padrino still have a price on them.
And well, they're asking to go after them, right? I mean, don't forget that there are already a lot of comments from Venezuelans who have told us, hey, but okay, that's fine, that's perfect. They already went after one. But don't leave us with the ones who are even worse, because if you give more power to those who are already there, to this Padrino, to this Diosdado, the situation is going to get even more intense. So obviously, and we've already seen them, I mean, Diosdado was already out there in the streets with weapons, with people. I mean, trying to intimidate and say, we still have the power here, right? And that issue, well, it hasn't ended. I mean, it's still going on. And then he said it again. From the White House, they say if the change doesn't happen, we're going to start operating again. Are you ready to carry out another attack inside Venezuela? If it doesn't happen, well, let's say if that political transition doesn't take place, we'll also have to see how this turns out. But they're different people. Let's not say the Maduro chapter is over. Now it's the Diosdado, Padrino chapter, and of course Fates too. Let's see how they operate. Let's see, well, now, which strategy works best from an internal point of view in Venezuela. the mobilization of certain groups that are close to the regime or are allies of the regime will be trying to operate by force. It's known that they are fewer, but it's also known that they have weapons and that they have the ability to carry out or commit violent acts within the same country. So the population is also, I imagine, waiting to see what will happen. No, obviously this is just the first move, and I think there will be more moves after this one, right? Not anymore this one. I don't think it will be quick either, in the sense that it doesn't necessarily have to be right now or tomorrow. It could also take a few days. I think it's to see how things settle and what they discuss with this one. Delcy Rodriguez, I don't see her, well, yes, with a lot of reactions from some countries. In the case of Russia, China, and Colombia, which are the only 3 countries that have requested an emergency meeting at the Security Council. Those are the countries that are truly the closest allies, the ones requesting the meeting with the Security Council. Others just say things to distract but don't do anything. The ones who are talking about this issue are the ones who stand out because they're truly the closest, the strongest allies. Petro appeared to be more of an ally than he let on, as he would sometimes wake up and criticize Maduro. But at the same time, now you can see how he might actually be closer than people thought.
In Petro's case, I think it's more paranoia, not exactly that the same thing will happen in Colombia, simply because Donald Trump happens to say that he is the leader of a criminal network. Obviously, he's afraid that exactly this will happen in the case of Russia. Especially, I think the fear is that he might release important information.
Nicolas Maduro, let's address another key issue. There's also a report from North Korea where another ballistic missile has just been launched. North Korea's Kim Jong-un launches a ballistic missile, this time toward the Sea of Japan. Well, this really draws a lot of attention because, well, here is China, here is Russia, and China is on this side. And then there's the East Sea, which is the Sea of Japan. Japan is on this side, and South Korea is on this side. Well, so it is launched toward this area, according to what is reported here. In this process, it's about showing strength, about seeing who has the greater capability. And this time, well, Kim Jong-un wants to, well, in the face of anything that seems strange to him, right? Whether it's this mature missile or if, as Sanai Takahashi said, I don't know what missile or some comment, or he shows off the submarine or something like that. So what's this called? Kim Jong-un, he didn't want 2026 to go by without launching one of his toys. And this time they launch one of the missiles. Let's say not the biggest ones, but yeah, let's say one of the medium large ones, right? These ballistic missiles that are capable of going into space, going higher in the atmosphere. Japan reports that many launched ballistic missiles have reached up to 5,000 kilometers. They say it goes even beyond the space station and then comes down at some point wherever North Korea decides. And one of the most repeated comments I've noticed today is, okay, yes, they went after Maduro, but Kim Jong-un, why don't they go after him? Well, yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's why I think Kim Jong-un, he knows it, his grandfather and father know it, and his 13 or 14-year-old daughter will know it too, right? That, well, the only way to survive in a regime like this in the long term is to have a lot of military strength. And now we live on a planet where the balance is based on military power. Unfortunately, that's how it is. Yes, other factors influence things, but the main one is the military factor. Of course, in the geographic position, who are your allies? But we've already seen that even your geographic position doesn't mean you can't be threatened. Canada's case is a prime example that things can take a surprising turn in mid-2026, even if it seems unlikely. Are international laws followed? Not always, especially if Trump claims he could take Canada and do it. A United States state, part of an allied, friendly, heavily armed NATO country, right? I mean, because Canada isn't like Venezuela. Let's be honest, Canada has strength, it has allies too, even on its own. So, but for them to go head to head with their friend, their buddy, or to tell the Danes, let's take Greenland, right? This implies, and we've already seen that apparently, the word might actually be kept, though not by Trump. So does that mean that maybe they really will take Canada and make it a state? Does it mean they really will take Greenland? Those are the things that I think are being questioned more and more seriously. In a character who right now, well, doesn't sound so bad because look, he's a dictator, he's a real son of a gun, which is just perfect. Let's say that this part is somewhat forgiven by all the world leaders, or at least by some of them, right? Former President Aki of Mexico shared this in a Twitter post. He said he doesn't want to get involved in politics since he's retired, but was just stating the facts. Today's small victory could be tomorrow's big defeat, as if to say, even though obviously Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador has his sympathies for Maduro, he had also been close to Trump. Often with Papa Chive you clash and nothing really happens, but this time he takes him down.
Hug, I skate.
Hug, I skate, right? Yes, it may be that we will see greater polarization within Mexico and within Latin America. One where certain groups that had been somewhat aligned, not 100%, but somewhat aligned with that kind of regime will now be more aligned. In this case, well, I don't know if it's a search for balance or maybe, I dare say, even fear that suddenly the attention could turn to them, right? That could be it. For example, what information will Maduro provide? That's the main question. Miguel Diaz-Canel didn't come out. He didn't come out to say anything, no.
To tear his clothes in outrage, of course, he must have been shaking all over when he saw what happened, of course. And the thing is, one of the things to remember is I really don't think Trump would make a move like that, not in Greenland or in Canada. Why? Because in his first administration, remember, there were also moves. And at that time, he asked Pompeo how he thought the population would react if the United States attacked, if the people would support them, or would they defend Venezuela? And they said that the situation wasn't ready yet. In other words, it didn't seem like all Venezuelans or a large majority would agree, and that's why nothing was done exactly. This time, the Venezuelan population was already at its limit.
No, notice that this one does. The messages that Trump puts out are, let's say, to see the reactions.
To cause a stir, exactly.
For example, I'll give you an example from Mexico. In Mexico, some people may like it and others may not, but when it came time to vote, well, the president had a wide majority.
Okay.
So, Lanza threw several poison darts this way, toward Mexico. After the first landed, it was Mexico, peace, peace, peace. He just kept throwing. And well, here we didn't fall for the provocations. Mexico's strategy was, just go along, stay institutional, speak nicely to him when you talk on the phone. The classic strategy was so effective it gained international recognition. Here, they really understood how to play along with Trump without falling into his game, right? So what happened months later? Marco Rubio comes out and says Mexico is the country that collaborates the most, the one doing the most on the trafficking issue. I don't know, and well, maybe they are doing something because, there are still issues, there are still problems, but anyway, is that what the new narrative says since Trump? And then every now and then they remember Mexico, for better or for worse, and one day he says, me. I'm doing great, but I'm not sure what or how much. They take the picture over there at the World Cup, and then the next day, again, he throws the poison dice. If the poison dice has a lot of people supporting it, suddenly, look, now in Mexico, they're really angry. A majority are hitting hard. So, well, you can do an operation or it could be something else, but they're just measurements. But in Canada, it faced such strong rejection that Canadian tourism to the United States dropped sharply. Retired Canadians living in the United States began returning to Canada or relocating elsewhere. But let's just say there was total absolute rejection, and also, well, it calmed things down. Trump measures, he throws out the toxic dart and measures, look, is it having an effect? Like with Iran? With Iran, it had an effect with Iran. He would throw a little dart and inflation would skyrocket. He would throw another dart at Iran and their currency would fall. And he said, no, I've got them here. I've got them right in the palm of my hand every time I speak there. That's how it affects them. So then it starts. And what happened? June 12th, around there, in mid to late June, the United States launched the attack on. Basically, he's a very curious character because he relies a lot on ordering studies and having statistics done and knowing that this is happening like this. So is it convenient for me to make a move or not? And that's how he goes about it. Now, there's another matter. I mean, going back to the thing about
Korea.
Japan just came out with an accusation. Korea.
Yes, the Minister of Japan.
Japan
Japan did report the alleged missile launch by North Korea, as did South Korea. There have been no reports of damage so far. The South Korean military said that the missile launch by North Korea from its coast took place in the morning. What Sunday means to them now is unclear, as no further information was given. Experts say that North Korea is likely stepping up weapons tests to showcase its achievements in the defense sector. So, do you know? York, I think that Tuhan is the one. York, I think that Tuhan is the main issue. South Korea and Japan reported a suspected launch by North Korea, which took place on Sunday. But they haven't provided any more information. North Korea is going to have new policies, for example, toward the United States, and whether it will be responding to calls for negotiation. Because we have to remember that since he returned, Donald Trump has been trying to connect again with Kim Jong-un, and he hasn't managed to do it. He hasn't succeeded. And well, basically, Donald Trump has abandoned the issue. If you notice, Kim Jong-un no longer speaks because if he did, his sister would respond.
Exactly. I mean, not Kim Jong-un's sister anymore, but if it's Kim Jong-un's sister, then it's like Kim Jong-un understood the move too, right? I mean, it's like he said, Trump is a media personality. He's someone who benefits more from me than I do from him. Because he realized Trump can't fulfill his promises since there are issues. Either because Trump didn't plan to fulfill it, or simply because internally. In the United States, they firmly said no to having a relationship with North Korea. Things settled down, and now they want to restart this, but who knows, right? Does that issue really does it seem complicated? And well, so what else do we have from Korea? Isn't there anything else?
From North Korea? That's all? Yes?
Let's address other important matters too. There's a report being given right now. Pay attention to this matter. How is it going? How has it changed? We're only on day 3 here on this planet Earth, right? And the instability is tremendous. In Burkina Faso, it's said that things are at their peak. There's talk of an attempted coup d'etat. At this very moment, there are already some reports, some images, although nothing has been confirmed yet. Wait for me so long because this is it.
It's one I sent you to put at the beginning of the show.
Is this okay? You made it with her being mischievous, images of her, well, making Maduro dance. Sorry to interrupt, but I noticed this video here. What's happening with it? Well, it's a separate issue. There are images. Now, if we go to the footage from Burkina Faso where you can start to see this, look, let's listen. In the early morning in Burkina Faso, a series of movements began in which it is claimed there was an attempted coup d'etat. Now, well, as always in these countries, it's not surprising that there's a coup d'etat. But at the same time, suddenly information spreads slowly, right? In these kinds of situations, political instability and violence really define what happens in that country. The year 2022, Burkina Faso entered a state of military control after 2 coups d'etat in 2022. I mean, it's constant. The last one that year was carried out by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who came to power replacing another military leader who had also taken power through a coup d'etat. It was overthrown by the military junta. They have delayed and have spent the last few years saying we will hold elections in a few months, and absolutely nothing happens.
Right now, what is known is that a coup attempt was thwarted in Burkina Faso by Amoeba with the help of France and other foreign countries. They were planning to assassinate several members of the defense and security forces. And well, at this moment, have they managed to stop this coup? And they're not looking for Daniba because they sent him a warning that they won't be able to keep protecting him?
Well, that's for now. This is the person they wanted to remove.
And his name is Ibrahim Traoré?
Ibrahim Traoré. By the way, when accusing the United States and France...
They just cancelled it. They can't enter the United States or Burkina Faso?
Exactly. Thanks for the spoiler. I mean, that's exactly why. The same military coup president has banned entry from the United States to the area. The situation has been serious for years. There are 2 million people who go from one side of the country and move to the other side of the country. And that's how they go, drifting, so to speak, from one place to another. Not for pleasure, not because they're on vacation, obviously, but because this area has become an internal war zone where one group wants to overthrow the other, where when one of these groups comes to power, simply, well, as they say, it's like, well, they're left unprotected, the opposing group, and that group has to leave. So there are hundreds of thousands, even millions of people who are constantly displaced seeking refuge because of the level of violence spreading in that area. In this, even though this has been going on for years, this 2025, in March, in Diapaga, there were dozens of deaths and soldiers also died in clashes. In March, soldiers were killed. Clashes that show there are constantly insurgent groups wanting to overthrow one group, wanting to overthrow another, and that's the issue. In response to this, the United States has imposed sanctions because of the coups. Because of this, they've imposed many sanctions on Burkina Faso and Mali. By the way, in Mali, members of the terrorist group Islamic State of Iraq and Syria are already operating or trying to operate to take control of that government. In December, just last month, right, the 25th then, of this end of the year, the military government approved a bill to restore the death penalty for crimes they call espionage, high treason, or terrorism. So, if you made a post that they consider to be treason, or if you took a video, took a photo, and you're already spying, for that they can take your life, I mean, it's crazy. What people are experiencing there is part of what is happening in these Sahel countries, not in all of them, but there are several that have been very unstable lately. Mali, Burkina Faso, not to mention Sudan and so on. Well, and what's been happening lately in Nigeria, right? And then you have characters like Noe, who is there in Ghana, right? He's selling tickets for Noah's Ark. Basically, no, but well, it's a huge issue what's happening in that region. The current government, as I said, a coup government, managed to recover, let's say, from this almost coup d'etat today, according to what they say. And this, well, is information that they have provided. This year they achieved food self-sufficiency, which would be a positive thing. Hopefully, yes, that it really is like that. If that's the case, then at least this achievement should also be recognized. Even if they are coup plotters or whatever, as they say, I insist, I don't believe them, that they would have achieved food self-sufficiency, a situation that has been critical for years. I mean, they didn't have food, and they say at least now we've managed to have food produced by themselves, and that's also important. They're facing humanitarian, political, violence, security, and food crises. Even though they say they're already self-sufficient, there are still problems in that sense. But anyway, there's Burkina Faso, another one of these countries, to say the least, in a tough situation where the issue is really serious. Let's move on to other matters, other topics, something else about this issue. Let's move on to other topics. Thank you very much to the community that's watching us live. If you want, you can support the channel by joining our membership, subscribing, or liking. Every bit helps. Hi Lily, how are you? Christy Krantz. Hello Tibal, how are you? Hello Alex G. Thanks to everyone joining the community. Let's discuss something else. We see in this image.
Here we are seeing images of the military from what would be the United Kingdom and France carrying out an attack on what would be Islamic State of Iraq and Syria facilities or installations in Syria today.
So there it is. I mean, the United Kingdom and France attacking Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Look, we recently mentioned how the Syrian army and the United States working together were attacked in a town. They're driving around in armored vehicles and Humvees. The Syrians and the Americans are going into the towns to look for certain Islamic State of Iraq and Syria leaders, and that's when they were ambushed. Do you remember? Now, you can see the United Kingdom and France also attacking what's happening because it's a very important issue to finally put an end, once and for all, to what's left of Islamic State of Iraq and Syria inside Syria. It's still a tough problem since we have to remember the northern part of Syria, not this one. There's a mega prison featured in several fascinating documentaries I recommend. This part of Syria has a huge prison. Around 12,000 to 13,000 Islamic State of Iraq and Syria members are there, locked up in a prison guarded by the Kurds. By the way, what about outside? There's a huge shelter there for the families, the children, and the wives of the terrorists who live there in a massive camp. That's also another challenge, because many of these kids unfortunately already have all the ideology of that Islamic State of Iraq and Syria group, and well, many of them aren't kids anymore, right? There are already people who are 20, 21, or even older. They're adults now, and unfortunately we know what's coming because of that. Alright, let's move on to other matters. Let's talk about other important topics. We still need to discuss the earthquake aftershocks, though we plan to cover it quickly. We'll get back to the Venezuela issue in a moment, what's happening in this region. Just to let you know, in this area of Guerrero, there have already been thousands of earthquakes reported near the epicenter. This is where yesterday's 6.5 earthquake happened, but it triggered a series of aftershocks that are drawing attention. Not today, right? 1,071 earthquakes. What do we know about the situation now? It's very interesting. What the Seismological Institute reported a little while ago, they mentioned 1,071 earthquakes. That's how many there were until last night, early morning around there. Then more earthquakes were added. They're small earthquakes, although some of them have been above 4. But that's a lot of activity in this San Marcos area.
What exactly is that? It's at the exact place where the strong earthquake happened on November 2nd, which would be at coordinates 16.679 degrees latitude with negative 99.554 degrees longitude. And well, this has really caught a lot of attention. The biggest one, 4.3, is the one you just mentioned. This happened in the municipality of San Marcos over in Guerrero, which is actually from that area. It's the second person to lose their life there, which we were talking about on the afternoon of January 2nd. And well, what follows has really drawn a lot of attention. This movement is quite intense. And well, Dr. Jorge Aguirre Gonzalez, coordinator of seismological engineering at the Institute of Engineering at National Autonomous University of Mexico, points out that this is a characteristic of the site effect, which is a phenomenon of how the ground responds to earthquakes and is very important since all soils either amplify or attenuate the movement in some way. In fact, according to him, data from the academic institution itself says that there are around 20 different ways to calculate the magnitude of an earthquake. This allows scientists to obtain the most precise and useful measurements for sports engineering, civil protection. Because it has drawn a lot of attention how strong this magnitude felt both in this area and all the way to Mexico City.
Exactly. So let's move on to more information. Are things happening inside Venezuela right now? Let's go with that. The Telecommunications Regulatory Agency in Venezuela, CONATEL, is reporting the suspension. Watch out for that. Temporary suspension of the open signal to the main television channels Globovision, Televen, and Venevision in the capital region, and urges people to stay informed. Only, they say, through the state channel, BTV, and other official sources. Oh, so the other media outlets are turning against them. They're no longer reporting what they want them to report. And now they're saying, more than ever, get your information from the state government, right? With BTV. Watch out. What's happening in Venezuela is definitely drawing attention. You can also see Nicolas Maduro in another image, which has surprised people because it looks like they're giving him a tour there. In the United States, Mickey Mouse is already taking a stroll over there on the East Coast. What is the name of the Statue of Liberty? No, well, that's a character, right? And obviously he's been filled with lies. Meanwhile, on one hand, you can see images of him arriving at Metropolitan Detention Center Brooklyn, not at the Federal Detention Center in the United States. In New York at around 8:52 at night Eastern Time. And at the same time, well, the memes are coming out everywhere too.
Hasn't he been in the same prison as El Chapo and the others?
He hasn't said no yet, right? Not yet, but it could be that he ends up in one of these maximum security prisons. But for now, at least they should know to save him because it's a center that's like before a trial or something like that, right? So that's what they've been saying at least. That's very interesting. For example, how do you think Ortega is sleeping? But I notice he's very quiet. He hasn't said anything.
How strange.
How intense. When they come for me, they also come for my wife.
Not in that case anymore.
In that case, it's clearer.
Of course, because it's a dictatorship, a strange thing that Elias made up.
How do you think he's sleeping today? Is he even going to sleep or is he going to be up all night? Obviously, this would also be another one of the big questions right now.
Exactly, and right now? The Minister of Defense of Colombia has just confirmed that they have reinforced security around President Gustavo Petro. This comes in response to Donald Trump's statements, where he referred to the president to Petro. And also, the Colombian army is launching a deployment of troops and armored vehicles at the border crossings and bridges that connect with Venezuela in the department of Norte de Santander.
Another thing, the images that show Maduro, it's not this one or another. If it's not another image, well, obviously the memes, right? Like I said, has this image become iconic? Well, the belly and the shirt, that Nike one.
He was wearing $120.
There aren't any left.
There aren't any left?
Already sold out. Nike had its biggest sale this year because everyone started buying that belly thing. Putin in this photo, obviously fake, right? But in this one, in this jacket and belly and everything there. Not meaning to, but well, Nike and this, well, when you go into the store, I say this because I have a friend who loves the brand. And the post about how there weren't any left? No, they didn't have any more. I mean, come on, they just didn't anymore.
People began sharing the Nike page with the model so others could order it?
Yeah, well, right now at least it shows that there aren't any, right? Still, later on this will be available again, but anyway, that's how things are right now.
Nothing new, right?
And look, in Argentina, the Venezuelans, look. Well, it's impressive. Obviously, it's not impressive to see this, well, these images. And well, if you're just arriving at the beginning of the video, we already shared the images of the moment when he enters this center. This jail, this federal prison over there in New York. No, this is in New York. According to what is shown, he even looked smiling, wishing himself a happy new year there.
But we start with that image because I wonder, did I miss that image? That's why we started by wishing a happy new year to the police officers who were there from the 80.
Exactly, no. Well, gladly, we'll repeat the footage, not the footage. Such a curious one. Let's listen. This is the footage. Let's see. Good evening. Happy New Year. Good evening. Happy New Year. Good evening. Happy New Year. Your English is better now, isn't it? You exaggerated a lot here, so it seemed like you messed up. There's another image.
I'd also have said no war.
No crazy war.
No wild war, Pelican.
I wouldn't have said no, wild war, Pelucon, and it goes viral. He's not going to achieve freedom with that, but at least he's going to get more memes, right? That's it. Imagine if he had said that. Did he miss the opportunity there? No, Crazy War Pelucon would have been the interesting point there. Well, what are we looking at here?
Here we're seeing where they're putting the handcuffs on Nicolas Maduro and his wife, because we haven't really seen his wife much, but she's there too.
There in the background.
She's the one wearing the green jacket.
The green one. And how did things work out for her? This one with the little hat they put on her, it looks like she has Mickey Mouse ears, so yeah, it's fine. Actually, at first I thought it was one of those little hats, and I said, wow, this must be AI, right? Until I saw that it was the Drug Enforcement Administration reporting this, and I said, well, yeah, it's just that looking at it closely, it's just a little hat, that's all. They made like two little things on it, and I said, look, I mean, even until the last moment, this guy, this Maduro, knows how to make himself a meme, and I think he has a knack for it. In another reality, another dimension, well, he might possibly be a content creator and go viral, right? Probably. But in this reality, he's a character, a detained dictator. That's it. His wife apparently doesn't go with husbands, or maybe she goes with wives.
Yes, she is going to get married.
Because they have to, isn't it supposed to be by law that they have to handcuff them? There it is. Look, check it out. You can see the cap better there. Check it out.
He no longer says goodnight to you.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. And then, I don't know, then I didn't understand it.
Yes, like that. I haven't read it.
Night. Good night. Night. Good night.
Yes, I made her say night.
Ah.
So she says good night.
Well.
Well, people act really weird, don't they? When reality finally hits them.
When reality hits, people act strangely.
I love the comment from a Venezuelan who was celebrating, who said to those who claim that the United States is only interested in oil, to those people I asked, do you really think so? Do you think the Russians and the Chinese are after Arepa recipes? Because if that's the case, well, they've been invaded for a long time.
Yeah, it's not something... It could be an argument if they say it's easy, you know, an easy argument in these kinds of things, but well, wow, just wow. The moment they present, it's just that, well, at one point it really seemed like he was going to leave, that he was going to back out, that it was going to drag on for a long time. It seemed like maybe these bunkers people talked about, like they're in one bunker, then another, and so on, and that they're impenetrable. And I don't know how much, but it turned out it wasn't like that, right? They knew where he was. I was looking at the report about how things happened in the CIA. They knew where he was, which houses he was in. They looked for a similar house so they could practice how it was going to be, how the entry would be. And well, it really wasn't like that, like a big bunker. And none of that, like people ended up saying. Also, well, the suspicion here is who was or who were the ones who betrayed this person. No, because there are suspicions about people close to him, and that's true.
About Delcy, right? So sometimes they point the finger at Donald Trump, at Delcy, yes.
Donald Trump points the finger at Delcy, and so do I. I think it's also part of the strategy to further destabilize the remaining regime, since it's still there. Sure, Maduro is gone, but everyone else remains, right? Is that part of it too? And they've already said, if the transition doesn't happen, we're ready to start operating again. And maybe before you didn't believe him, but now you do, right? Why? Because he already did it? So he already showed that he can do it, and besides, well, he didn't even have any losses, right? I mean, what happened there? An attack on a helicopter that caused minor injuries to a soldier was the only one reported as causing damage, so to speak.
Yes, that's right. That was the only report from the United States. But anyway, yes, there are these 40 losses that Pepe mentioned to you at the beginning.
Let's go step by step.
From Venezuela?
Exactly, within Venezuela. Let's go to the comments. Now, for real, in the live stream, all of you who are new, just so you know, all the broadcasts, in the end, we always analyze and look at the comments.
Just clarifying Mario Diaz's case. Courage, courage. So do you support Maria Corina Machado and think she'll be Venezuela's next president? They emphasize that they do support this Maria inside the country, but basically that's what he's saying, right? About what? That Delcy should come in and elections be held in 30 days, right? Because that's what the law says in Venezuela. And let her win again. This time, let her win, because the truth is the whole world wins. Last time, because Nicolas Maduro put obstacles in Maria Corina's way every chance he got.
Corina, yes?
He was really scared of her, exactly. And
well, that's the thing. Greetings, Francisco Arce. Very good. It's true the dictator fell, but not the dictatorship. Be careful, but a key piece has already fallen, right? Now there are other key pieces left, and they're being given the opportunity to leave through negotiation, so that there's no need for clashes, let's say, but they've already shown that there can be clashes, and they've already announced that there will be. They haven't set a date yet, but the ultimatum these days will have to include a date and say, look, this is the day. If the transition hasn't started, then obviously it won't happen. Regards.
since they're involved, they should finish it properly, right? The United States shouldn't leave things unfinished like with Iran.
Equality right now. Greetings to 67. He says he's new. Hello, how is everyone?
Greetings to Francisco, who says United States. Control over drug trafficking in the region was lost because of Maduro, similar to how Mexico is losing it to cartels. Now the United States is regaining control. Greetings, Francisco.
Greetings, Francisco. How have you been? Lecoyote04 says, asks about Maduro. The little ears are real. They look similar, right?
But it's not the cap he's wearing. What happened to it? He put it on, right?
That's how the cap is.
It's a really bad joke.
Yeah. It's this little cap. But yeah, at some point it does seem like, well, look.
Yeah, it does look like she's wearing it.
It seems like she's wearing a Mickey Mouse cap, but on closer look, she isn't. Oh, well, that's how it is. January 3rd, 24. No, not even 24 hours have passed. No, I mean, not even 24 hours have passed since they went for him. And right now he's already facing charges. He's already in jail in federal prison, and now the trial is next. That's a good thing.
Yes, it takes a year.
Fras is going to take a while. It's definitely going to take a little while. Greetings. If he pleads guilty, the process speeds up and he gets an easier outcome. How old is he now? How old is he?
He's 60, right? So is he a lot younger than Trump? Yes.
Well, let's see. Yes. And those who estimate how many years in prison for him, 63, it would be 20 years minimum.
A minimum of 83.
Assuming it was 20 years and he had the chance to leave, right? I doubt that at 83, but he would have to give up too much information, and I don't know if that would be enough for them to take off a few years or something. But what they're estimating for him is life in prison, right? That's what they're estimating, right? I mean, Ortega got out after a while when he was older. Yeah, well, as far as I know, Ortega did get out. No, not Ortega, not him.
The one from Panama?
Panama, yeah, the one from Panama. This guy too, there have been several politicians.
Who? Tell him, Lopez. Who is he? Let's see.
Check it. Noriega. Did Noriega make it out or not? I don't remember how that went. There have been some cases, for example, of people who not only got out, but also had their sentences reduced because they've reported people or provided information. However, there are some very serious cases. And in this case, what he's accused of is handling and shipping weapons, buying weapons, and also shipping drugs. Since the time Hugo Chavez was around? Yes. I mean, since that time. They traveled on diplomatic planes. They would arrive and either take money, bring money, or move drugs and so on. I mean, they used those planes that couldn't be checked because they were diplomatic, and that's exactly how things were being moved.
Well, he was transferred to France in 2011 on parole. That's right, and over in France, later, he died during surgery for a benign tumor that was located in his brain.
Let's say he was free, in quotes.
Yes, he was under hospital house arrest. I mean, he was in the hospital, but he couldn't move anymore.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it really does seem complicated.
She says, luckily...
When he passed away, yes. Well, yes, but she says in Russia...
She says Russia?
That yes, in Russia, I want to be free.
Ah, yes.
I want to be free.
Of course, take it now. To finish ruining Trump's reputation...
They asked Trump today how he was getting along with Putin, right? Because lately he had been getting along very well, again. And he says no, that he's not happy that, well, let's see. I mean, he hinted that the relationship went to the dark side again, let's say, and it's not there anymore. What concerned people most wasn't that he got along badly, but that he got along too well with Putin. No, that was the part, well, that there was some risk, let's say.
Well, who died in Panama?
In Panama, he arrived. Look, already in Panama. Cheers, Adilcia. How have you been?
Are they taking him to France? Tell us, she says.
She says she must serve another sentence in France.
So it was, I imagine, for the same thing, right?
I imagine that later in Panama he is imprisoned and dies there, imprisoned separately. Yes, Jesus Lugo says, good evening, Pepe. He says, good evening. How have you been, Wilson? Greetings, how have you been? Very well, he says. There's home automation, he says. Don't be ignorant. There's no left or right, so don't waste your time. I agree with you. I agree with you. There are no more lefts. There are no more rights. I mean, there are conveniences, there are deals, and that's the reality. I mean, at the end of the day, there are things from the right that might suit you in a country, and there are things from the left that might suit you in a country. The point? Here, what's important is balance, respect for rights, respect for laws, for democracy, and so on. I mean, that's what's important, beyond saying, hey, this one leans more to the left, this one leans more to the right. So in the end, let's say that a balanced country takes the best from each side, or at least that's what it tries to do. At least it's not much.
Says here Leonardo Perez. I wonder if Lulpo Wagner was handed over. Did they make a deal with Venezuela for Ukraine? No, I don't think so.
No, yes, no.
Greetings. I mean, if he wasn't there, wouldn't Russia be begging for his release? Yes. Greetings to Francisco Arque and also to Tibal, who asks, will it be Cuba or Mexico? Well, actually, they did ask him about Cuba, and he said that, well, it was one. As he said, the topic of Cuba was interesting. I think that as long as there isn't something that interests him about Cuba, I don't see it as necessary for him.
No, a topic he finds interesting, and that is easy, right? When it comes time to make it happen. Now, Cuba is under a lot of pressure. There is a lot of discontent. There are protests. I mean, maybe the conditions are perfect to start a movement in Cuba. That could be, says Omar. I went to Manhattan in the afternoon and I heard that many people were talking about Maduro. The people behind me in line told me they would return to Venezuela, but first they would see which direction things take. I think that's what's going to happen. I think a lot of people from Venezuela are going to see how things are. And yes,
I saw many videos of Venezuelans wanting to return. For example, there was an old man in his 90s who said, well, let's go now. Or that he already wants to go back. Because just imagine, who knows how many years it's been since they've set foot in their homeland. About a woman who took her children to confront Maduro supporters saying, it's been 29 years since I last set foot in my homeland. And she says it's because of this person, right? So, well, because of that group, that regime, no.
Exactly.
Alex says drug trafficking is just an excuse. Come on. Honestly, I think there were way more interesting things to go after Nicolas Maduro for. For example, the issue with Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah. I mean, he has way heavier things going on.
A Republican himself was saying exactly that. This guy Maiza told him that the trafficking issue was just a pretext and that there were other issues. No, whether it's oil, whether it's political, whether it's this or that. And well, yeah, right? I mean, honestly, the relationship that was more convenient, well, it was more convenient from my point of view. No, well, you know, there are terrorist groups operating there that could attack us and so on. There were many more dangerous things. But since he brings up the issue of trafficking a lot in his campaign, he wanted to handle it himself. Yes, like that, but it was mainly about managing information. The reasons, of course, aren't that. Hello, how have you been, Taibal? He says, Russia, Poland says, is your brand about to win? Leningrad, do you think Poland wants to get involved? Does he mention the black guy? I mean, I do see it as difficult. I don't think Russia is. I don't think Poland wants to go after Kaliningrad. But anyway, what does seem likely, and at least that's what the Baltic countries are afraid of, is that they might want to take a piece of Estonia. No, yes, Estonia, right? It was either Estonia or not. Let's see the interesting little piece it must be. Yes, I technically have this corridor. Then Belarus would have access to Russia, right?
Yes.
The idea of Poland taking Kaliningrad, well, just imagine, it would be tremendous. And in that case, if Poland does that, NATO won't defend it. NATO only defends you in your own territory. But if you, for example, just decide to invade, if they attack you, but you lose the protection. So it's pretty complicated to get involved. They'll see you as the provocateur, the one who invaded. So I don't think it'll happen.
Says Taka Melissa, I still can't believe it that Maduro is sleeping so close to me here in Brooklyn. Yeah, just imagine I'm speechless and now we have to wait for the trial. Imagine the people from Venezuela who live nearby who are going to go there to shout at him. I'm sure there will be a lot of them around.
No, of course. In the end, they shouldn't see them there.
That I'm going to do it, yes.
Yes, it's there, then right there. That's where the speed is. That's why I talk so much about the day you least expect. The order was made on the 24th, right?
The one from the 24th was already approved. It was approved.
It might have been on the 24th or 25th, right in the middle of Christmas, which would have been crazy. That's true, but the weather.
He says it's the weather, but I think it was the holidays, right? Also, well, I can't imagine Trump wanting to because he likes the holidays. Yeah, I can't imagine him skipping Christmas or New Year's. Not all that stuff, says Tibble, but Afghanistan was better with the United States. As soon as they left, the regime of terror came back, forbidding women to speak in public, and even worse things.
No, totally. The thing is that these groups, well, they got out of control, right? It was a very poorly organized exit. No. If they had organized it better, this wouldn't have happened to them. But it was a disaster really, right? So now a small group that was on the decline, well, now they're in control. Because in the end, they had the experience of using violence to gain power, and well, they used it, right?
Alan Reese says, Maduro says, they say that in the video he's injured, and since he got off the plane, you can see him walking. Renko asks, what happened? Did he resist arrest, run, slip, get hurt, or was it true? Look, on the airplane stairs, he's coming down very slowly. Why? Because their feet and hands are chained. That's the protocol for Ash prisoners, right? So that's why he's coming down very slowly and kind of holding onto the stair rail. But did you see him just now in the video? He looks normal and laughs in the photo.
And he's going, look, let's check out some images.
In the photo where he's like that, I see his face looks normal. I don't see any bruise, and
he's walking around smiling and everything. Okay, let's go there. He's walking. Let's look at that photo. This example here, look.
He's not wearing chains on his feet there?
He's walking normally without chains on his feet.
Yes.
Let's go.
What the hell do you think they meant by the D?
Good night, Happy New Year, good night, Happy New Year, it says there, Maduris. Not sure if there's another image or video. There, he no longer has chains on his feet. He's already walking apparently more or less normal. Well, let's see. Let's check if there's audio. Yes, there's audio. Let's see. Let's check. No, 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 no. All right, there is a situation that we have been following here over there in Iran of protests, and today I mentioned this because of Andy Quintanilla's question. Thanks to him for the super chat and my regards. There is an update that, by the way, we talked about this afternoon on Salud during the afternoon broadcast. I can share the key points and you can review the full report if you want. But it is reported that the number of people who died in the protests has increased to 12. There is talk of 2 more, but they are investigating. Ali Khamenei also appeared today on his official Twitter account. He has multiple accounts all registered with the grey government verification, but he has the option in Farsi, the English option, the Spanish option. I mean, he has several.
The Hebrew version?
Also in Hebrew, he has this one. So in one of those versions, I don't even remember which one, but in one of these, well, he started publishing. I don't know if he always publishes it in one and then they start publishing it in all the others, but he would publish, well, you know, threats to his enemies, a bunch of things, threats here, threats there. He also commented that the protests were fine, but the riots were not, and that those people needed to be put in their place, said Ali Khamenei. This seems like a sign of greater repression for that region of Iran. It seems like those 30 cities, because today there were 30 different cities involved. These protests, they're not just protests anymore. It's already a rebellion, right? These aren't just riots anymore. This is a rebellion. How organized is it? I don't know. That's what I'm still wondering. How organized is this rebellion? If it's a rebellion that leads somewhere, right? I think that seeing what happened in Venezuela can also motivate people to say, well, maybe it is possible. We have to remember that they also have Trump's warning that if they attack the population, he doesn't say he's going to send troops. I asked him about that today. Anyway, back to the topic. But let's say the issue is still very much alive and we'll be talking about it these days as long as the Iran issue continues. But I was mentioning that one of the questions they asked Trump today was about boots on the ground. No, whether there had been boots on the ground, I mean, and well, of course there were boots on the ground, that's how it is. Like how they took Maduro, I mean, there were soldiers, it wasn't just intelligence, there were soldiers who went in and took Maduro. They took him to the airport and he boarded a plane. And from the plane, well, there are several versions. One version says they took him to the Iwo Jima, right? And then after that, apparently to Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, he felt sick. They took care of him. Then he felt normal again. It seems like they were going to take him here.
There's one about Guantanamo, and from Guantanamo, they stop in Puerto Rico, right?
I thought it was Puerto Rico, Guantanamo, then the United States due to distance, but I'm not sure. He reportedly arrived in Puerto Rico and then moved on.
Because Maduro might have felt unwell.
Well, all of that is kind of, you know, because there's no clear confirmation. What is known is that he went to the Iwo Jima, that's for sure, because there's, well, the photo. The first photo that came out is on the Iwo Jima. And then later, well, he showed up in New York, although apparently he went through Guantanamo and Puerto Rico. That's what people are saying, right? He says it's just unbelievable. Is it cyberspace? I mean, really, even yesterday when there were operations and missiles and all that, I was saying, well, where is it? The big question. Do you remember we were talking about the where is it, right? He's already gone to turn himself in. They'll arrest him and he'll lose his life there. I mean, let's go. The case, for example, of Bin Laden, well, it doesn't really tell you if it's exactly very good. There, the official version is that the close guards opened fire on the special forces and they fired back. And that's why he lost his life. The theories say that they eliminated him because they didn't want a figure like Bin Laden to be public. In other words, he stayed alive out there because he could be planting seeds of terrorism and similar things.
Did I imagine him in Russia? Yes.
Yes, at some point you said, well, maybe he left. I still couldn't imagine him in Russia, but I could imagine him at least already at the borders. I wasn't trying to get out or anything, but it was really intense.
Someone asked, why was he carrying clothes? Every time in the different images, look, when he gets off the plane, well, in the photo, he's wearing gray sweatpants, right? From there to the plane, there's a change of clothes, which are like blue sweatpants, and he's wearing sandals, like prisoners usually do. And he's wearing a jacket or like a very thin sweatshirt, light blue, yes, like a sky blue. After he gets off the plane, they put a thick jacket on him and to New York because, well, New York is really cold.
That's exactly the outfit he was wearing?
The
outfit he was wearing, I mean, it's a Nike model. Here are the clothes. It's the same model I just showed you.
There it is. She's likely in a prison uniform, right? Panterita, maybe orange or pink, depending on what they use there.
How much is it?
$120.
$120, so?
Well, right now these imperialists say, I don't remember anything, it's
very
expensive.
I mean, yes, no, isn't it that on one hand the image is not that of summer, and then the first ones to use brands here, even in the East, besides that. The thing is, well, they say that it's no longer available. It's a model that's already finished. They're not selling it anymore. It didn't sell well. Look.
But right now it's known that the plans had already been made. The plans of the CIA and the United States Army had already been leaked to the Washington Post and the New York Times. Both because this happens and many people don't get it. Both media outlets decided not to publish them to protect the entire plan, not so it could be carried out, but to avoid affecting the soldiers who were already there. Because that's an issue that lately, I feel like politicians have been going after the media. But the media always has this filter of what can or cannot be said. We put someone's life in danger or not, and that's the decision these media outlets make, right? The Washington Post and New York Times said not to publish exactly what was going to happen.
Exactly. Well, there they are right now at the party in New York going all out. Now,
hey.
Maduro is going to be the disc jockey. He won't be there, like...
He's known as disc jockey Duro Maduro?
Maduro and the bigwig with you guys, and he starts like...
Like if he dances, he dances.
If he dances...
Another one dances.
The other one.
Everything is stiff. I say we can wait.
He's dancing well there. Look, I mean... He's dancing well there.
It's my intelligence. She managed to...
Intelligence achieved the impossible, which is to dance. Well, so, what else? What else is out there?
Let's say hello and see who it is.
Greetings to Sita Menchu. By the way, I know she's not connecting right now, but we send her a big hello.
She just connected now.
She just connected.
A super chat, let's see.
Check it in the afternoon.
In the afternoon.
Yes, this one. This gift didn't seem right to me, yes?
Thank you very much.
Quote this Draper. How are you? Says disc jockey Baburo. And Day Krasnov says... That's a good one, says Humberto. He says it's strange what the United States did since they always attack when there's no moon. Sam noted it happened during a full moon, which is unusual.
Yes, something strange.
Yes.
Says Omar Hernandez. I bet he was freezing when he got off the plane, right? You're used to Venezuela's temperature, then suddenly you're thrown into the cold there. To the cold, he says, getting used to the tropical climate, and with the cold he felt today in New York, says Omar. That's why they put a heavy black jacket on him at the end. Just imagine.
Yeah, no, those aren't glasses. They covered his eyes.
Yeah,
They put this and something else on him. He couldn't hear or see.
Like the ones they put on in contests, right? The padded ones, exactly. So you can't see exactly, she says. She says it's home automation here. If you walk into a New York coffee shop and see someone who looks like Maduro, be careful, it could be him.
There were indeed rumors, as Alexis says, that the capture was, let's say, arranged, and those rumors are still making the rounds out there. that there was some kind of arrangement with them. This was mentioned by the opposition, the Venezuelan opposition, yes, who at one point claimed there was a deal in which, well, Trump would turn himself in and this would be done. Now, I find it very strange that the surrender was so easy. Why? Because supposedly there were 2,000, not 20,000 personal guards. I mean, well, actually there were 2,200. They were Cubans and each one had a bunch of people. But if you added them all up, I mean, the personal guards and everyone else below them in the pyramid of each one. I mean, each personal guard. He had a large team of people, all organized, all trained. So you say to Canyon or everyone left, right? Or what happened, right? I mean, how was it done? Was it that simple? No? Or was it an agreement? Or what was it, right? That leaves the big question. I mean, how have you been? Health, he says. I lasted longer with my ex than Venezuela's resistance, he says. Jose Pedro, how have you been? Very good.
He says, I'll check what comments people are making about Carrillo and Javier Alatorre, the news anchor, since he really looks a lot like Maduro. And here he asks what...
That someone should give him pajamas like those Naiga ones to Alatorre. No, I don't know if you have it. How's your sense of humor, Tenga Alatorre? But I mean, it was just for fun.
He says, Francisco says, why do most dictators have mustaches instead of beards? Let's see, Putin doesn't have anything.
Putin has nothing, but San Jose does, right?
But this one had a mustache.
Gaddafi didn't have one, right? Or did he?
Gaddafi didn't have one?
Did you bring it? I don't think so.
No, he didn't bring anything. This Noriega didn't have anything either, right?
Noriega didn't bring anything. No, you're wrong. No.
And this Marcos didn't have anything either.
Not even the one from the Philippines, Marcos.
Yes, Marcos ended his life comfortably in Hawaii.
Yes, it's not like, I mean, you take the Scholastic Assessment test.
Him? Yes, he does have a mustache.
He has a mustache, but he was already in Russia. The other one, the one you mentioned in Hawaii. I mean, yes, there are some who are...
No, yes. He has a sense of humor. An ex called him the evil twin. Can you imagine if he's actually the evil one?
Well, so he does have a sense of humor?
He has a sense of humor, which is good. Otherwise, no.
I mean, exactly. Well, I mean, yes.
He's Mexican. Does he have a sense of humor?
It's a characteristic, and there are many similar ones. They're tall. Their physical build is similar, the mustache, the hair. I mean, come on, it's easy. If you were an actor, you'd say, who do you want to play the character of Maduro in the movie?
Well, obviously...
We'd say the actor Alatorre, right, if he were an actor.
Yeah, not even Kim Jong-un has a mustache.
Nor a beard, Jong-un. Yeah, but I think he just can't grow one.
For Asians, it barely grows.
He's kind of like a mushroom, right? But anyway, yes, many have mustaches. Stalin too.
Russia?
Yes.
Yes, it was actually used. Greetings to Jose, since Russians have always had beards. Starting from a certain Sarme, how do you know me, Pedro Vermeer? As he says, you must follow the European way and start shaving, or you'll be fined if you don't. Russians have always worn mustaches and beards, partly due to the cold.
Well, they're already bringing out the toys, not from Maduro. Obviously, all that with Ian.
Super mustache in jail, he says, greetings to Centaurus. Yes.
Girls, Tron takes me for a ride, huh? Leon Bueno, right now, the memes are already with Ian. Not all of them.
Yes, all of them?
And no. And he's not the only disc jockey. There are several more there
Of them across the road?
Yes.
Says Tibal, Russia doesn't even have imported food dairy from China. That's an indicator that Russia isn't going to get involved, she says. Tibal, yes, there are already some problems.
He says, do you remember Tibal? A couple of weeks ago, they started pulling out their people, their diplomats, and the families of Venezuelan diplomats. I mean, because, you know, between intelligence agencies, between countries, they give each other that heads up, right? They're already pulling their people out, which was a sign something was coming, right? But, well, now, how would it be? How would Maduro dance in Trump's style? No, they already did that too. Look, well, no, but from a certain point of view.
There it is. There's a video out there of him dancing, making fun of Trump. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle laughs and says, in a real video, I don't want to face Russia and China's anger over losing $600 billion invested in Venezuela. Okay, but if Maduro stays, what happens to the country?
That's the thing, right? I mean, what's going to happen, for example, with China? It's already being said that, well, let's see, there's an agreement apparently that their interests will be respected. Right, China. We must remember there was a debt with Venezuela, a large debt with China, and in theory, those will also be respected.
Francisco says, does he look like the drug saint, Malverde?
Like Malverde? Yes.
Yes, it's a peculiar style, says Jose Pedro. 50 Russians, 200 Cubans. And it didn't work, it was useless. Greetings to the best in news, thanks for this.
Thank you very much. Greetings.
Says Juan. The gringos arrived, they brought missiles. What do you mean they brought missiles, right? No one was left, and if there are, will the Delta Force finish their job? Yes, greetings.
Hi, Juan. How have you been? Very good.
Says the Australian painter. Yes, he did. Yes, he did have. I mean, marveling. We don't talk about it because he's not a dictator. Well, yes, he's a terrorist.
Yes, yes.
No, they're different. Greetings, too. No, Trump doesn't have anything either. He's a dictator in that he gives orders and bypasses all the powers, but people voted for him, and that's the difference.
You can't call him a dictator. In any case, you could say, look,
He's an authoritarian president?
He's an authoritarian president, exactly. I mean, he's someone who tends toward autocracy, right? Because there are also many things he wanted to do that they haven't allowed, many things he wanted to implement that they haven't let him. I mean, come on, there are forces, there are powers that stop him all the time, I mean, unlike a dictator who does whatever he wants, here he just wants to do whatever he wants, right? If he maybe deep down in his little heart had the chance, deep down he would want to do it. No, because in fact he's mentioned it when he says that he's an admirer of Kim Jong-un and that he loves that everyone follows his orders.
Oh, well, he says he would love to implement China's system in the United States. Yes, he has said it openly because he says that, like them, they can make very long-term plans because it's always the same government. He's right, but that's not possible in the United States.
I mean, he's right in the sense that, well, it works for China.
But also because of the size of the population.
The size of the population, exactly. And well, it's true that there can be temptations.
Right? Of course. Yes, greetings to I.
No, it's just how long will it last? How many weeks? The meme thing aside, well, surely more and more will keep coming out, right? Memes about this topic.
Doesn't it say? I know Erdogan. Fixed elections and opposition imprisoned. Erdogan does have a mustache.
Erdogan is becoming more autocratic, right? Is there even democracy? Yeah, it seems to work less each time, right? I mean, and besides, he's basically moving over to Maduro's side, basically not. I mean, to become, well, an autocratic figure and, well, already on the path to being a dictatorship because, well, the opposition goes to jail, right? The ones who have a chance to win. So, and he's a figure from NATO, so it's very hard to justify this person as a member of NATO. But why do they do it? Well, because, I mean, why do they still play along with them? It's a crucial country and they don't want to lose it. That's what Erdogan uses. With that confidence that he knows they need him, but I think they're keeping track of it, right? I mean, they're really just waiting for something to happen, right? And what about Gartor? They're criticizing, saying, no, don't do this, that it's possible. Okay, but of course it could ruin things, right? Isn't that true?
Dario says he asked the million-dollar question. Who is more scared, Padrino, Maduro, or Diosdado?
Well, that's a good question.
I think Diosdado is probably thinking about what he's going to do right now, right? Because sooner or later you can get contaminated.
Yeah, but which one of the two? I mean, which of the two is more?
Well, I think Diosdado.
You think so?
Is it true? Yes, because, well, the other one already knows what happened, but living with uncertainty creates a lot of fear.
No, but between Padrino and Diosdado?
No, not between, because Maduro said it and Diosdado didn't. Well, they're basically the same.
So do you think it's the same?
Yes, I think so, yes.
Okay.
Greetings to who is here. No, he says no. Rarut says Kim Jong-un went so far as to execute a very old minister just because he fell asleep in a meeting, says Rarut.
Remember, just as he was becoming a dictator to his uncle, and not only that, he didn't just execute him, he actually fired a short-range missile at him. And what madness.
Right.
And besides, many of those executions are broadcast on television. I mean, it's crazy. He says it's crazy.
Dario says, Pedro Sanchez says he'll be on soon.
That's how it is. Oh, listen to how it sounds here. Yes, it's yes. No, there's nothing there. In Latin America, several countries, and in Spain in particular, are also a bit nervous about it. Several people won't be able to sleep these days.
Francisco Arce says Petro already received his Nike jacket.
This Maduro guy is really involved in a lot of countries. For example, if you look at Nicaragua doesn't get as involved internationally compared to how much he does. They participate too, but less than Maduro. I mean, Maduro is really connected to international matters, and also, well, this is about health. And they talk to each other. Pepe, you fell asleep, didn't you? I'm already asleep.
He hasn't slept here.
I'm on autopilot, you could say.
She says, Tavi alert. The United States says air restrictions over the Caribbean Sea will end tonight. Airlines are being notified according to Tavi.
Thank you.
Greetings to Grafo. Also, yes.
We haven't fallen asleep. We're doing well, as you can hear in our voices. I was making some clips, some edits, and when I heard the voice, I said, this isn't my voice, this is a sleepy voice. I mean, yeah, we need to sleep a bit more. I think we've slept about 3 hours, right?
Yeah, I think more or less, says Alex. That in about 2 or 3 weeks, when the candidates come out, he will keep watching to see what the exact agreement was.
Details will come out, things will get leaked, we'll see, right? We'll see how all that goes. Let's get back.
No, let's go, guys. Remember that we're on WhatsApp and Telegram. We send you the notification there, but we're also on Facebook. We're on X and Instagram, where we also send notifications, but Telegram and WhatsApp always deliver them.
We're there. Thank you. See you tomorrow morning with the information. See you later. We interrupt your regular programming. Thanks for tuning into The Truth. This is PP Live.
The truth is intense, harsh. The unusual is real harsh. Here we analyze it. Global focus. Don't miss out. Tune into the PP channel live with PP controlling the signal and Astrid telling it like it is. Raw journalism is respected here. Enable notifications and stay updated until next time. Yes, sir, we're taking attendance. Subscribe. Live in the house.